sponsored by Witchsong Miniatures. I think it's time to finally start building on the insanest, moodiest, coolest gaming table the world has ever seen. 3 years ago, Luke from Geek Gaming and I started working on our dream gaming table to make something as detailed as if it's a small diorama but a full-scale gaming table. The only problem was that after we had booked sponsors, we had started planning, we had a day for him to fly up here, and then COVID hit. And since then, the project have just been on ice. But as you know from my last couple of videos, I've been just super excited about Mordheim and Diablo 3, so I think the time has finally come for me to start planning and building on the most epic gaming table I could ever build. So let me lay down the idea. In Diablo 3 there's a city called Westmarch, and it just has this really cool gritty vibe, and every time you get to play there it's so moody and you get really into like the feeling and the atmosphere of the game. They have all the roads and streets on different platforms, so you're playing on different levels and plateaus throughout the entire city. Another really cool thing about Westmarch is that it has a lot of hidden doors, entrances and sewers, and all of that kind of stuff I think would be amazing to explore on a gaming table. And even more so, just the way that the streets looks. Wherever you go there's small paths where there's water running around. You have these grass tufts plopping up in between the different stones on the streets. And it just really feels like a cool, moody, abandoned city. One cool detail that I've never seen on a gaming table, and there's probably a good reason for it, it's these different lines and ropes that go between the different houses in the city. I understand it will be difficult to move figures in between different things like this, but for me and this idea, I just want the atmosphere to be spot on. So throughout the past couple of days we've done a bunch of sketches of different houses that we like and how to make these houses get more layers on top of them. Maybe plateaus that you can walk on, or maybe ladders or wooden stairs that go around the towers, bridges between different parts of the cities as well, and unique ways to make your way across from one house to another without having to go the regular street path. So maybe suspension bridges or something like that. I've seen some really cool Mordheim city builds as well as Necromunda builds, but especially in Mordheim, pretty much every city is supposed to be in ruins because that's what the game is. It's a ruined city from a big comet crashing down there. But personally I would prefer if the city is intact. Maybe the city have been left for, say, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years, so things are starting to fall into despair, and many of the buildings could look more ramshackle than freshly built. And a few years ago I listened to an audiobook from the Games Workshop game Warhammer Underworld, specifically Shadespire, and that game takes place in a city called the Mirrored City, where the inhabitants have found a way to trap people's souls into something called shade glass, so people's souls and their minds can live on forever, meaning that history, knowledge and memories and all that will be possible to leave behind for the next generation. But Nagash was so jealous and considered all of these souls belonging to him, so he put a curse on the entire city. So that city have sort of become frozen in time. But because the value of these and the people trapped inside of these mirrored glass, there's a lot of different warbands who try to enter the city and find this valuable magic item. And most of these, they never leave because the city is cursed and they get trapped as well. And the idea of that city and the atmosphere of it, it just speaks to me so much. I love the artwork from it, I love the stories from it. So maybe we can combine the best from these three worlds, from Mordheim, from Diablo and Shadespire, and just cram everything together into making my dream table. And when we're gonna play Mordheim on that table, we can take the rules from Mordheim but have the storyline from Shadespire and switch out the warp stone to shade glass, and it would just fit together perfectly. Okay, so let's bring out the table. I really want to have a big gaming table. This one is slightly bigger than 6 × 4 feet, so about the size of the old Warhammer gaming tables. It's bigger than the ones they have now, but for what we want to do, I think that's fair. And one of the things that I mentioned is that I want to have many different plateaus. So I think that building up the city like this, where the river down in the center, maybe have some piers coming across, and then have docks and houses the further out we move from the center. And one of my dreams for this project is to have Tabletop World buildings instead of making my own buildings or 3D printing them, because quite frankly, these are the best looking houses in the entire miniature hobby. So I emailed the guys at Tabletop Worlds and asked them already 3 years ago if they wanted to be part of this series, and they seem like the kindest guys and were super excited to be part of this really cool table builds. So they just sent me a bunch of houses and told me if we needed more we could just let them know. And I guess you guys have seen these lovely miniatures that I've been moving around on the soon-to-be gaming table, and these are from this week's sponsor, Witchsong Miniatures. And they have a line of ultra high detailed big baddies for home 3D printing. And there are a lot of awesome patrons and memberships out there, but Witchsong Miniatures is here to shake all of that up by offering the 3D printable subscription for only $1. It's very simple. Instead of making a patron where you get 24 decent miniatures, they've decided to put all of the extra work into one to make it really, really pretty. And the big bad guys range in a size between 140 millimeters all the way up to 170. All of them come on these pretty scenic bases. And if you decide to go join them right now, not only do you get the cool miniature for this month, you also get 3 extra miniatures and another one coming every month from here on. And if you like to, you can pay $3 per month and not only getting this awesome looking boss, but you would also get busts and stat sheets for your games, additional poses, and just a ton more. You don't even have to join to get one free miniature. You can just follow the link down below. No pledge necessary. You get one for free no matter what you're gonna do. No reason not to check it out. And with that, let's start painting some houses. And because we're gonna have to paint about 2-3 dozen of these houses, we've had to figure out a way to paint them fast at a high level. We start off with a Zenith spray of white through the airbrush. The green for the bricks is a mix between the contrast paints Warp, Lightning and Dark Oath Flesh. I then spray the mountainside with Dark Oath Flesh. Paint all of the wood parts with the brush with the Wildwood contrast paints. And that is our foundation for most of the parts of the houses. The roofs, however, are super important. When we recorded this video, we used a Killian green mixed with Plaguebearer flesh to make the perfect turquoise. However, now since the video was recorded, there's a new Citadel paint called Eldari Emerald that's pretty much the tone straight out of the pot. To finish everything off and add some detail, we dry brushed the roof as well as the bricks and then added highlights with a regular brush on all of the wood parts. And the last big detail for this paint job is the AK color luminous orange sprayed on all of the windows to really sell the effect of the world being dark and gritty. Having the dark gritty contrasted with the luminous and bright fiery orange helps your brain understand that the light from the windows is coming from a fire or maybe just a candle. And that in its turn make you understand how much darker the environment outside of the houses really are. And with that, I think it's time for a grand house reveal. So I'm really happy with how these ended up looking. I feel like the atmosphere is just spot on once we have it in the city, and the city is as dark and gloomy as well. It'll be super beautiful. Another idea I've had just now today as we've built this is to maybe have something like aqueducts with water coming out from the sides of the table and then pouring down to the river in the center. And of course we need to add sewers. So maybe people could play on these areas underneath the streets and under the buildings and just open up for new ways to play games on a gaming table. Maybe it's not gonna be the most practical, maybe it's gonna be difficult to move around here, but I'm all here for it. I just want the gaming table to look as awesome and as immersive as possible. So if you guys want to see more of this, let us know in the comment section. Let us know what you want us to do. You probably want to subscribe because I feel like this video series is gonna be the most fun and cool things probably we've ever done. So yeah, that's probably a good idea. A massive thanks to all of our patrons who support us by pledging a few dollars every month. If you guys want to help out, we have the link to that down below. If not, as I said, just watching the videos is just way enough. Smashing like, maybe. Subscribing, that stuff helps. Witchsong miniatures, you guys are awesome for supporting this video. It's gonna be so fun to start using your miniatures on this gaming table once it's starting to look done. And with that, have a great day. Bye bye.